every major official from the White House financial agencies came out and was instructing the Senate GOP to get the Clarity Act markup done, to get this pushed across the finish line. We heard from Mike Salig, Paul Atkins, David Sachs, who else? Patrick Witt, Brian Armstrong, and even Brad Garlinghouse weighed in on how crucial it is to get this done, that progress is better than perfection. It seemed a little odd that there was such a strong push all at the same time from all of these major players, that they would all chime in to speak their mind last night of all nights for some strange reason. And then just this morning, the President of the United States comes out and says this: world's most powerful reset, President Donald J. Trump. What does he mean by this? Well, it's interesting when you factor that in. Plus, an emergency meeting was called today by Treasury Secretary Bessent and Fed Chair Powell with some of the largest banks on Wall Street about cybersecurity and other issues. And it's also supposed to be an announcement from the Fed chair at 2 p.m. today following this meeting. But wait, there's more. Because yesterday, Mark Rubio had something to say as well in regards to crypto usage. What did he have to say?
Today, Brazil, in our hemisphere, largest country in the Western Hemisphere south of us, cut a trade deal with China. They're going to, from now on, do trade in their own currencies, get right around the dollar. They're creating a secondary economy in the world, totally independent of the United States. We won't have to talk about sanctions in 5 years because there'll be so many countries transacting in currencies other than the dollar that we won't have the ability to sanction them. Today, Brazil, in our hemisphere.
So, in the near future, we won't be able to impose sanctions on countries anymore because they'll just be able to transact in whatever currency they want digitally all around the world. This is a major issue when we're talking about the United States and the dollar being the global economic leader for the last, century? Seriously, as Americans, we don't know how privileged we are in that right, that we have had the world's largest economy. It's done very well for our country. However, these are very pressing concerns, and it looks like they're starting to understand that. And when we're talking about the amount of money, again, we always bring up the DTCC, and I have mentioned the DTCC a lot, especially because of how much I am around with Canton Network. Clarity on the Clock with White House Crypto Counsel. Eleanor Tourette's hosting that live right now. We might pop into that when we are done. However, let's see what they have to say at the DTCC.
Is that the reality is that there are literally trillions and trillions worth of assets that exist in traditional form. And I think that what we've seen in the blockchain market, in the digital asset market thus far, is that while there's been great projects and great work that's been done to prove that tokenization works and to demonstrate why blockchain works, ultimately, securities and assets are being tokenized one by one. By providing this governance and standards and opening up the vault, if you will, to open these assets up, you're taking the entire market and creating the ability to move it as opposed to doing it one by one. And I think that's the other difference that we provide. It's like, here's the standards and plus the assets, we'll change the world that way. And not is that
we will change the world that way. They need to set the standards and the assets, and that's all coming on chain in trillions and trillions of dollars through the DTCC with Canton Network and hopefully soon Ripple and XRP Ledger. But trillions moving on chain. There's been a very fast push for this over the last 6 months, and it feels like things are starting to collide. It feels like things are starting to come to a head. Breaking news. Japan officially classifies crypto as financial instruments. Japan has approved a bill to classify crypto assets as financial instruments. The move amends the Financial Instruments and Exchange Act, Crypto now sits alongside traditional financial assets. Trading on undisclosed information will now be illegal. The move aims to improve market fairness. So, regulation moving forward in Japan. Japan, a major supporter of the XRPL and Ripple. Inflation beats expectations, comes in at 3.3%, rising, of course, because of energy costs. Energy costs spiked 11% month over month. Core CPI inflation rose to 2.6, also beating expectations of 2.7%. So inflation rose, but beat expectations. We expected a rise because of the Iran excursion, for that matter. Now, the other day I spoke about dollar cost averaging out of HBAR and Ondo and starting to dollar cost average into TAO, Hype, and gosh, my brain's Zebek. TAO, Hyperliquid, and Zebek. Well, this is why we dollar cost average in. Literally the day after I did that stream, the Covenant AI owner who runs a subnet for TAO put out basically a Burnham as he walked out the door statement, citing all kinds of issues that he saw with TAO and that he's taking his business elsewhere. TAO immediately had a sell-off of nearly 25%. It shows here that it was cut in half, but then it rebounded slightly after. So I will not be investing in TAO. Luckily, I did not start investing in TAO. They have too many issues, obviously, but this is why we do our research. This is why we monitor daily. If they're having this many issues within their own home, so to speak, I'm not messing with it. But that's just me. So what am I going to pivot to? I'm still undecided. I'm looking at a couple options, as well as potentially maybe not doing anything and just sticking with 4 pillars, being XRP, Canton Network, Hyperliquid, and Zebek. But I will not be investing in TAO. Some shady stuff going on behind the scenes over there with Bittensor. And they had a major collapse yesterday. But on a positive note, Canton Network, we just announced yesterday they broke their record for transactions. Well, guess what? They did it again. Transactions are up 23% in the last 7 days. The growth rate that's happening recently on Canton Network is starting to happen exponentially. Again, we've talked about the first DTCC transactions seeming to go live on April 1st. Again, that pilot was supposed to start commencing in the first half of this year. It hadn't started yet, but then they made announcements about digitizing tokenized assets and making those trades. It certainly seems like the infrastructure, if nothing else, is ramping up for the Canton Network. Now, that's all the news. There really wasn't a ton of new news. However, I have been working on the app. I'll give you guys a quick update on the app. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's complete right now. I am working on getting it launched onto the DevNet for beta testing. It is the largest process to date so far as working on the app, but everything is functional. I need to get it migrated to the DevNet. I've already purchased the cloud server so I can run the app independently. And I'm putting in my application for validator status so I can be a validator and validate my own app. We'll see if it all plays out. I'm learning as I go with the app, but it is set up. You can log in. It saves your login. This is the home landing page, the league page, predictions page with different games, community where you can chat back and forth, and a wallet function, which right now is just gamified, but you will be able to create a Canton wallet, hold assets from the Canton Network, such as stablecoins, USDC, JPM coin, all of those things. This will be a fully functional wallet on the Canton Network that can hold your Canton as well if you don't want to hold it on an exchange. This is a non-custodial account, so you are still in charge of it. I am not custodying any crypto, but this will be a non-custodial wallet for you to use and deploy on the Canton Network. as well as, of course, the education questions and the community element of it primarily is what it's all about, right? This was built for the community, but we are working on getting it live on the DevNet. When I do, I'll be sure to put out a web page with a sign up for a wait list on beta keys so we can test it out and see if we can get it all to work. But that's what everything's looking like as we speak right now. Currently, price of Bitcoin is testing 73,000. So a vital support level for Bitcoin is 73,200. If it can push above 73,200 and hold that line, it has a chance to make a move back up to 80,000. If it can make a move back up to 80,000, then XRP should start trying to push back to that $2 range. Again, I want to see XRP get above $1.55 and hold it for the next leg up. It's been a while since we've talked about $2 XRP. I would like to talk about $2 XRP again here in the very near future, but this has been an excellent time to accumulate. I have been accumulating everything every month, just like I always do, and it has definitely brought my dollar cost average way down on all of my items, or all of my assets for that matter. Again, right now I'm currently investing in XRP, Canton Network, Zebek, and Hyperliquid. I still hold a large amount of HBAR, Ondo, and Chainlink that I'm selling out of some of the HBAR and Ondo right now. That being said, let's hop in the chat. Let's see how everyone's doing today. It's a fantastic Friday. Could we have a global financial reset? I don't know. I don't think that's what's happening personally, but it would be nice. And if anyone came in late, we'll do a recap here in a little bit, but let's engage in the chat. Make sure you guys keep the chat rolling. The chat is always the lifeblood of the stream. Holy crap. Is this working? Is this thing on, or is it really only 3 chats here? Judah made it in today. Says early. Oh, this is, wait a minute. That's right. Okay. Sorry, let me fix the chat here. My chat's messed up because I had to start and restart the chat. Or I had to start and then stop the stream and restart it because I had an emergency phone call from my daughter's school. So I did not set up the chat function. Let me fix that real quick. I appreciate everyone taking your time to be here. Bear with me. I'm fixing it right now for us so we can go through the chat information. Of course, my daughter called me from school at 12:01, like it was some freaking emergency. She didn't want to go to swim practice. My goodness. Kids, I swear. She went to the office and called home because she didn't want to go to swim. Sad, sad day. All right. Raul made it in the house today. Let's see. I have to give Judah his props. He was in first, but I had to start the stream and then stop it. Gunpowder in the house today. Raul made it. Where everyone at today? I don't know. It's Friday. It's a slower day. Hopefully people are jumping in. Raul said there's 15 people in here. Okay. Illuminati confirmed. Well, see, here's the other thing too, Raul. I had to start the stream and then stop it and then restart it. So that probably threw a lot of people off. What's up, everybody? Scott, I saw a towel dump. I almost had tears for you. Glad you didn't rush into it at that price. DCA is the way. I practice what I preach, and this is why. It saves you from these kinds of things, man. I do practice what I preach. I put my money where my mouth is and follow my own instructions, and this is why we dollar cost average and don't act emotionally. Jarl Gertovic. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Raul said, we'll be over $2 in a few months, XRP. I hope so. I hope so. Old weightlifting, 4249. Canton, he says, yes, I'm waiting for the Canton. I can't wait. My girl knows not to call me at 12. I won't answer. Well, it's my daughter, you know, when I'm getting a call from the school, I think I should answer. I think it's an emergency. Eric, welcome from Sweden, brother. Welcome, welcome. Kelly in the house today. My XRP prediction in the upcoming 4 months Oh man. Okay. So in 4 months, XRP, it's going to depend on clarity. It's going to depend on adoption. I don't believe in the domino theory or that an oil shock is going to push it to crazy amounts. I said that I thought for 2026 that $9 to $14 was possible based on the analysis, based on the adoption, based on the utility. But it's going to really come down to what happens with clarity and what happens with this Clarity Act. Um, so I would say that I still stand by my thought process that if clarity goes through before the end of this year, that $9 to $14 is possible. But if Clarity Act gets snagged, we're probably maybe getting $2 to $3 tops if we're lucky, in my opinion. I saw that it was like, what happened? I'm guessing you're talking about me getting off the stream, Raul. That's what it was. I got a call from the school like right when I started. I figured it'd be better to start. Did TAO dump because of Templar? No, TAO dumped because Covenant AI backed out and basically dragged TAO through the mud, telling them they were doing some nasty crap. So basically they were dumping on users, as far as liquidity dumping on users, and apparently shady practices going around on the back end. And Covenant AI, which is basically their largest subnet, walked and said, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to go build somewhere else. And it was a massive hit to TAO. So if anything, that tells me I'm not messing with TAO. I'm glad I didn't buy any of it. That's fine. I'll move my dollar cost average somewhere else until I find something with more conviction. I'm taking a better look at Quant. But no, it had nothing to do with Templar. It had everything to do with Covenant AI leaving and calling them out for being trash, pretty much. Long story short. All right, let's do a recap for anyone who came in late. Let me pull this up here real quick. And if you can, hit the like button. Be sure to engage in the chat. We'll do the full Q&A and recap right now, but full Q&A when we get done. So topics, thoughts, concerns, whatever you want to talk about, we will discuss. So back to the recap. Recap is yesterday, we discussed how every single major financial agency was coming out. We heard from the OCC. We heard from the CFTC. We heard from the SEC, Paul Atkins, Mike Selig, Patrick Witt came out, Brian Armstrong came out, everyone urging the Senate Banking Committee to get the markup done for the Clarity Act. Then, if that wasn't weird enough, again, Brian Armstrong also tweeted out and agreed. And of course, for fun, Brad Garlinghouse kicked his name in there also. But then this morning, things got real. Because the president of the United States literally tweeted out, world's most powerful reset, President Donald J. Trump. At the same time, we have a emergency meeting with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Fed Chair Powell with major Wall Street banks and CEOs over cybersecurity posed risks, as well as supposedly other things are being discussed. And we're supposed to have an announcement from the Fed chair at 2 p.m. today. That's some odd timing for all of these things to be aligning and happening at the same time. And when we take it a step further, this is what Mark Rubio was talking about yesterday.
Today, Brazil, in our hemisphere, largest country in the Western Hemisphere south of us, cut a trade deal with China. They're going to, from now on, do trade in their own currencies, get right around the dollar. They're creating a secondary economy in the world, totally independent of the United States. We won't have to talk about sanctions in 5 years because there'll be so many countries transacting in currencies other than the dollar that we won't have the ability to sanction them. Today, Brazil, in our hemisphere,
I'm pretty sure this actually wasn't yesterday as I'm looking at the clip, but it doesn't make the statement any less true that in 5 years, there's going to be so many different currencies and people to be able to transact digitally over Web3 and blockchain that we won't be able to sanction transactions. We won't be able to sanction the purchase of goods and trade as the United States anymore. So we need to figure out another way to do that. That's why there's such a major push for crypto to be here, for stable coins to be denominated in US dollars, so we can still maintain our grip on the world currency of the US dollar. But if that currency were to change, that would be bad for the United States. It'd be good for people who are positioned in the correct place to profit from it. Don't know who those people would be. Might be a handful in this stream, might not be. And when we're talking to the DTCC and the amount of value, and we're talking, I know we're under, how do I put this? We're just talking about this reset that Trump is talking about. But again, a reset may seem to happen all at once when it happens, but really, it's kind of like what Brad Garlinghouse said not too long ago. The switch has been flipped, but it's not one switch. It's 1,000 switches that all have to take place and have been taking place. And then one day, they, not one day, like price is going to shoot up overnight, but one day the price catches up to the utility, the price catches up to the adoption. I think that may be getting closer than we're giving it credit for.
The reality is that there are literally trillions and trillions worth of assets that exist in traditional form. And I think that what we've seen in the blockchain market, in the digital asset market thus far, is that while there's been great projects and great work that's been done to prove that tokenization works and to demonstrate why blockchain works, ultimately securities and assets are being tokenized one by one. By providing this governance and standards and opening up the vault, if you will, to open these assets up, you're taking the entire market and creating the ability to move it as opposed to doing it one by one. And I think that's the other difference that we provide. It's like, here's the standards and plus the assets, we'll change the world that way. And not only is that the reality.
We're going to open the vault. Here's the standards plus the assets. We're going to change the world that way. Trillions of dollars are going to be coming on to blockchain. I don't care if you believe in Canton Network or not. I do. But nonetheless, they are the first pilot for it. Trillions of dollars are coming out of the vault in real world tokenized assets. We need to find the best way to position ourselves to take advantage as retail investors of that tokenized wave. Japan classifies crypto as financial instruments. Japan has approved a bill to classify crypto assets as financial instruments. The move amends the Financial Instruments and Exchange Act. Crypto now sits alongside traditional financial assets. Trading on undisclosed information will now be illegal. The move aims to improve market fairness. So more regulation and adoption in Japan. We all know they lead the way for XRPL. Inflation data came in this morning. CPI rises to 3.3%, but beats expectations of 3.4%. Core CPI inflation rose to 2.6%, still beating the expectations of 2.7%. CPI inflation is now up to the highest level since May of 2024 amid the Iran war. Fed rate cuts have been priced out for 2026, so we will not be getting rate cuts this year, more than likely, unless something drastically changes. And then when we were discussing TAO, if you came in late, here is the information. Covenant AI owner of SN3, SN81, and SN39 has announced they are leaving Bittensor. Accusations against Bittensor's founder. Suspended emissions to Covenant's subnets. Stripped their moderation rights over their own community channels. Unilaterally depreciated their subnet infrastructure. Dumped large token sales timed to moments of conflict as economic pressure. Calls the triumvirate multi-sig governance, decentralized theater, and claims there's still as effective unilateral control and uses the two others as legal shields. So basically calls them, basically sitting there giving them the full treatment of what everyone's been calling Canton, that the governance is not decentralized, it's decentralized theater. But this is not something Canton would do, but they suspended their subnets, they stripped their moderate abilities, they unilaterally depreciated their, like, these are some nasty accusations. So yeah, if I was a builder, I wouldn't want to build on TAO. If I was an investor, I sure as hell wouldn't want to invest in a company that's doing this to their most prominent members. My opinion. So I did not get into it. But just yesterday, we talked about Canton Network breaking transaction records. Well, they did it 2 days in a row. So they're now reaching 1.46 million transactions per day, up 23% in the last 7 days. If this growth rate is not catching your attention, I don't know what will. And if you missed the announcement of the app is now basically complete. I have to get it up and live on the DevNet. I'm applying to do that now. As soon as it's live on the DevNet, I'll be able to start a wait list and start getting people beta keys to test it out. And then the next step after that, after we beta test it, is show the value of the app, show that it works, show that it's running, show that it's functional, show that there's demand for it and that people want it. Then I can apply to a super validator to become a featured app on the Canton mainnet. And then it goes live on the mainnet if I get approval. So those are the next processes. So we've built the app. Now we got to test it and clean it up and show that it has value to the Canton Network. Those are the next phases. All right, let's hop back into the chat. Hopefully everyone is still talking. And again, XRP currently at $1.35, Canton Network at 14.8. It had a nice push up to 15.4 last night when I was sitting here coding. I saw it run up to 15.4. And then Bitcoin now is hovering just under 73,000. Again, I want to see it cap over 73.2 and hold it to show me that it might have another leg up. I did reach out to Yuval again today, or not today, but this week. He did not respond. I will still continue reaching out to him to see if we can get that interview that he said we could have. D. Curry in the house. What if the Clarity Act passes, but there isn't any price movement and remains flat? Again, I don't think price movement's going to happen as soon as Clarity Act passes. Just because Clarity Act passes, it still takes time to write all the rules and things like that. But it sounds like the CFTC and the SEC are already writing the rules so they can deploy as soon as it goes live. But I still think it's going to be a slow burn. It's not going to be like a flip of a switch with clarity, but it will give the institutions a little bit more of a warm, fuzzy feeling that what's already happened to this point isn't going to go away. I think everyone is on hold till the bill to pass. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, retail is so out of it, it's not even funny. Honestly, when you can see it just in the views on YouTube and X, honestly, when price goes up, the views skyrocket. When price drops drastically, the views skyrocket. But when price chops like it has been for months, people start to lose interest. They don't care. And that's usually the time where people should be building and paying attention, honestly, because that's when the stuff happens. The market is already showing signs of buy the rumor, sell the news. Yeah, kinda. High Energy Investments, welcome to the stream. That's a name I don't recognize. Where are you from and what is your favorite crypto? Abdul made it in the house today. Should we hold more gold and silver rather than the fiat dollar? Oh, yeah. I mean, I keep a little bit of fiat in stable coins and a little bit in cash in case I have to do anything, because, you know, we have to transact in the real world, but I mainly use my credit card. I mean, I would say gold and silver is a safe asset, but considering what we've seen happen over the last few months, gold and silver's volatility is ridiculous. I mean, we can expect volatility, Abdul. If you know what that means, you know what it means. But we can expect volatility even in gold and silver. If a catastrophe were to happen, nothing is safe. Like, if a catastrophe were to happen, like a global financial reset, like Jake Claver style, nothing is safe. Everything will sell off. I like the fact that I hold Canton in that respect, because when Bitcoin sells off, it seems like Canton goes up most of the time. But I do think if there were to be a collapse due to some kind of major reset event, I really don't think anything is safe. I don't think gold and silver is safe. I don't even think treasuries are safe. I mean, major countries are holding more gold than treasuries now. Now, that would lean you toward gold, but as soon as we say that, gold drops from 5,200 back down to 4,400, and people are freaked out. The volatility that's happening right now is crazy. And remember, all volatility means is no one knows what the heck is going to go on, period. I hope I can buy more CC at 14.1. I don't know. That was pretty low. My lowest purchase other than December for CC was 13.8. I got some at 13.8 when it dropped down there. Raul says he's trying to get more at 14 also. High energy investments, East Tennessee, XRP, HBAR, XLM, and Wilfi. Okay. I wish Coinbase would list Canton. No, I don't know when they're going to do it. The only places that pretty much don't have it are Coinbase and Binance. You can get it on Robinhood. You can get it on Caleb and Brown. I don't think it's available on the Tangem Dex yet, but it's coming available in other areas. And then soon you'll have a wallet to store it on if you want to get it off of the exchange. You can store it in the Longview Crew app. Non-custodial. All right. Let's see. I'm on CC since launched. I got it at 7 cents and 8 cents. Nice. Very good. Very good. I think I got in on it. Well, I don't remember what price it hit on December 8th when I bought it. I want to say it was like 10 or 11 cents was my cheapest buy. I caught it on the way up after the DTCC announcement. The other day, I couldn't choose between TAO and Zebek. I'll take Zebek. See, this is why we do our research. This is why you should do your own research as well. But now this is something we couldn't see coming. Of course, the day after I say that, a major partner announces things like that, then, what can you do? But that's why you dollar cost average in and don't make emotional decisions, right? We slowly go in over time, and that way we don't get jacked. Thought on Zebek in a year? Honestly, I don't really have any predictions. I don't have any predictions because I don't know what's going to happen with the Clarity Act. And I think that's massively going to impact the retail payment side of things. I think that if it were to, is this working? I hope. Yeah, it goes. I think that if it were to get a 5x, that would be healthy. I think a 3x would be nice, honestly. Really, I think we need to reassess expectations of crypto. I think a 5 to 10x is possible with Zebek because of its market cap and because of its use case. If it catches the right wave, it could get a nice, 5, 10x. But I'm not here for 5, 10x's in a year. I'm here for the long view. I'm here for what things are going to be over the next 5 to 10 years, what the use case, what the utility is. Because of its market cap, though, Zebek certainly has a chance for a 5 to 10x. And then I also think because of its market cap, Canton has a chance for a 5 to 10x this year at a minimum. A minimum of 5x. 5x would basically put it at $1, 5 to 6x. So I think that's certainly possible. And that would only give it like a $38, $39 billion market cap. It wouldn't even put it near the top 5 if it had a 10x. So lots of room to grow in these assets for sure. Let's take a look here. Back to, let me see if I have any information to pull up real quick. You guys engage in the chat. I'll see if I can pull us up any more information. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, let us know. We got about 20 minutes left to go. Pull up the price here. See what everything's doing. Let's see what oil's doing today. Oil's still chopping $98. So really everyone's just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. It feels like right now. Gold, what's gold doing? 4,700. Yeah, everything's just kind of chopping around. Not a lot of movement. Silver, probably nothing. More of the same, yeah, $76. Canton's down to 14.85 today. See if anything new on X. And again, you can follow me on X at Longview Crypto. I post information and updates there throughout the day before I go on stream, after I go on stream. So you can always follow me on X at Longview Crypto. Lots of people excited about the app on X as well. I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. And I kind of developed a new logo. Let me see if I can pull it up here for you guys if you didn't see it. Here it is. This is pretty much my new logo for Longview Compute, especially for the app anyway. For the Longview Crew app. This is the logo. Since it's on the Canton Network, it needs to have a Canton display. Don't worry, I still love my XRP, but we don't have any XRP news today. Again, waiting other than the AI testnet, but we've already talked about that, and nothing new has come from it. It's been kind of a stale couple days as far as news goes, with the exception of the clarity and the reset and all of these discussions going on with all of these major officials. But as far as the news section of crypto, it's been kind of slow the last couple days. Not a lot new to report other than a couple broken records, but no partnerships, onboardings, announcements. Nothing major. Let's check the chat again. Let's see what you guys have to say. Hopefully you guys are talking. Everyone wants 100x. Well, I mean, 100x on Canton would be a $14 Canton. I mean, that doesn't sound too terribly absurdly crazy. But that would be massive for sure. You're very welcome, Ricky. You're very welcome. Nice. Okay. Anything on CC ETFs? I haven't heard any major announcements. I know there are two that are waiting for approval, and I believe there should be one ruling here soon. I believe it was April 19th, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm pulling from memory. But I think April 19th was the deadline the SEC had to rule on one of them. So we should have some CC ETFs coming up soon. I know that the Canton Strategic Holding Company is doing very, very well. I think they were up like 20% or something like that. They're doing extremely well. So, I mean, the network is healthy on Canton Network, to say the very least. We're just waiting on the burn to mint ratio to continue increasing. And if they continue doing transactions with breaking records every single day, it's only a matter of time before that burn to mint ratio hits and surpasses equilibrium. And then we should see an inflection in price. Should. That's the tokenomics theory. But again, until it's proven, it's a theory. But that's all the information I have for today. It's Friday. Tomorrow I'll be on. I'm going to try to repaint this room tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be on. And then other than that, I don't have anything new for you guys. I'll probably I'm thinking about doing a vibe stream on Saturday night. Try to get some of the people who maybe can't get in here at noon on the regular days. Just have a Saturday night hangout research stream. I feel like we need another research stream in the near future to discuss the new cryptos, right? Zebek and Hyperliquid for sure. And then maybe potentially a fifth pillar. But I do feel like we need to do a research stream here in the near future. And maybe a behind the scenes app stream as far as the coding stuff. But a lot of people think the coding is boring. Usually when I start coding, people check out. It's not the most entertaining thing, I guess, for a lot of people. I like it because it's creative. I'm actually building something. I'm bringing something to life. You know, adding modules and seeing it take shape and form is pretty cool. It's a very good creative outlet for me. I'm enjoying it. But that's all the information I have for today. Hopefully we see our tokens skyrocket and appreciate with a global reset. According to the president, we'll see what happens. Later.